Hello everyone, welcome to the next episode of SpongeBob Now. Today, I will be talking about that sinking feeling, and Karate Star. First, I'm going to talk about that sinking feeling. Enjoy. It is a beautiful day on Conch Street, where SpongeBob and Patrick are giggling and playing by running back and forth between their houses, passing through Squidward's yard in the process, referred to as a walkway. Squidward opens up his blinds to look out of his window, and this annoys him because they are running in his yard the whole time. He finally loses his temper and walks outside to get mad with them. He stops SpongeBob and Patrick with 2 suction cups and screams at them about playing in his yard. SpongeBob explains to Squidward about doing so, they're technically playing in their own yards and that they're using his yard as a walkway. Squidward now wants to make them choose which one of their yards to play in, and leave his yard out of the situation. Patrick thinks he's very good at choosing, but can't decide which yard to play in that day, and finally lets Squidward choose. He separates SpongeBob and Patrick from each other by putting them in their own yards and draws a box around his to prevent either of them from going through his yard, and then goes inside his own house. The two panic and think that they will never see each other again. SpongeBob tries to walk across the road, but the traffic is terrible, and just at that moment wants Patrick to do something. Patrick tries to squeeze himself into the mailbox in order to get to SpongeBob's house, but as soon as he manages to get into the mailbox, the stem breaks, the mailbox tips over and immediately explodes once it hits the ground. SpongeBob wants to let Patrick sit tight, ties himself to the mailbox, and slingshots himself over to Patrick, but it does not seem to work. SpongeBob now has an idea and wants Patrick to see, so they think to dig a tunnel underneath their houses. They eventually meet up and start playing. Squidward can hear them playing, so he goes outside, but they are not in his yard. He looks in SpongeBob's and Patrick's houses, but they are not there either, although Squidward sees Gary out on the rooftop enjoying the sun. Squidward cannot find them anywhere, and eventually, this sends Squidward into a rage as he believes SpongeBob and Patrick have finally become ghosts, so he shouts, "Where are they?" and starts jumping up and down. This causes the roots underground to wiggle, and SpongeBob and Patrick think they are dancing, so they start doing so. This sinks Squidward's house and he finally realizes that they're underground the whole time, so he enters his house through the roof hatch. Squidward comes out of his house and makes SpongeBob and Patrick dig it back out while he relaxes, but Patrick accidentally breaks Squidward's window and SpongeBob accidentally let all the dirt flood Squidward and himself out of the house. Now extremely angry, Squidward threatens SpongeBob and Patrick if they don't obey him and dig out his house by the count of 3. Squidward is going to turn them into chum, kill them, which shocks them. SpongeBob and Patrick dig more, but it is not enough to dig the house out completely, so when Squidward reaches 3, they start running away in panic from Squidward, who furiously chases them as they keep digging more tunnels to escape. As they are doing this, SpongeBob and Patrick sink all the buildings in Bikini Bottom, including their own houses, downtown, and even the Krusty Krab. Plankton then realizes that the Chum Bucket is the only restaurant in town, but it sinks too. After a whole lot of digging, SpongeBob and Patrick come to a rock but are unable to go any further, and a furious Squidward corners toward them. After he yells at them and they tearfully apologize before anticipating the inevitable, all of Bikini Bottom sinks underground. Sometime later, SpongeBob, Squidward, and other Bikini Bottomites are seen digging out Bikini Bottom. SpongeBob says, "Another beautiful day under Bikini Bottom," and Squidward puts on a mining helmet and saying, "I hate neighbors," as the episode comes to a conclusion. Next, I'm going to talk about Karate Star. Enjoy. In the beginning of the episode, SpongeBob is in his kitchen, karate chopping a pineapple to look like Gary. He puts it on the floor, so Gary is eye level with it. It attracts flies and one fly goes into SpongeBob's mouth and he begins to choke. Patrick walks in and asks for some cheese before realizing SpongeBob is choking. Once it becomes clear to him, he punches SpongeBob. SpongeBob flies across the room and lands against the wall and the fly leaves his mouth. He offers anything in return and gives Patrick the cheese. While he's watching SpongeBob practice his karate exercises, Patrick asks his best friend to teach him karate. SpongeBob's a little skeptical but ultimately agrees since that was part of the deal. He tries to teach Patrick the reverse whirlpool, and then how to fly into a brick wall and destroy it. Patrick succeeds in this but ends up unable to stop flying and destroys a lemonade stand. Next, SpongeBob tries to teach Patrick a move where he spins around on one foot. Patrick then starts spinning uncontrollably. SpongeBob gives up, and Patrick perfectly karate chops a cinder block in half out of anger. He chops a steel sword and a boat as practice and then almost chops Baby Richard. SpongeBob stops and warns him not to chop any living organisms or their property. He reminds him that, with power comes responsibility, but has to go to work and leaves Patrick, who starts chopping everything from arcade games to spinach. A man runs into the Krusty Krab, screaming that there is a mad chopper on the loose, and SpongeBob, knowing the man is referring to Patrick, sets off to stop his friend. Meanwhile, Patrick is in an ice cream shop. He is buying a cone stacked high with every flavor they have. He owes the ice cream man over $80 but tries to trade him for a lollipop. The ice cream man refuses and threatens to call the cops when Patrick chops the glass, cracking it, and tips the ice cream into his mouth while the ice cream man holds onto the money from the tip jar. The manager yells at the ice cream man for holding the money in the tip jar. Patrick gains considerable weight, and no longer fits through the door. He chops it and exits. SpongeBob comes and tells Patrick to stop destroying Bikini Bottom, but by that time, Patrick's arm, having suddenly sprung to life, cannot stop chopping. He eventually makes his way to the Bargain Mart and destroys the structure and searches for SpongeBob. He finds a pack of kitchen sponges and mistakenly believes this to be SpongeBob's carcass but is told by an angry store clerk, Dennis, that isn't SpongeBob and what they really are. Gleeful, Patrick asks if he didn't really crush his friend, but the clerk points out the debris crushing SpongeBob. Patrick frees the unconscious SpongeBob and becomes very mad at himself and rips off his own hand. SpongeBob wakes up and sees Patrick without his hand, but Patrick tells him that sea stars are able to regenerate limbs. As his hand grows back, he then swears to only join things together from now on before he badly rebuilds the Bargain Mart. Patrick is then shown karate chopping a shopping cart, leaving SpongeBob irritated since he promised to stop. The real Patrick then appears, and explains that sea star limbs that fall off are able to regenerate new bodies. The second Patrick then chops more before he leaves as the Bargain Mart gets destroyed again, as the episode ends. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos. Goodbye everyone.